It's time for This Week in Nerd News, Episode 4.
For March 29th through April 5th.
This Week in Nerd Movie News, Matthew McConaughey has been cast by Christopher Nolan, director of some of the biggest blockbusters in, ever, to be the lead in his next film, Interstellar. The film will depict a heroic interstellar voyage to the farthest borders of our scientific understanding. There. Now you know just as much about the project as anyone without the last name Nolan.
Arrested Development star Will Arnett is joining the cast of next year's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And no, this apparently isn't a trick.
Illusion, LBJ.
Arnett's role is being kept a secret for now, but we do know that he is not one of the Turtles, and can presume he will not be Shredder, Splinter, or Casey Jones. While we don't know what his role will be, we were able to get a quote from Mr. Arnett about this news.
I've made a huge mistake.
This week in Nerd TV news, we would like to issue a retraction, as that terrible rumor about Matt Smith leaving Doctor Who has been debunked. By Matt Smith! In an interview with more reputable British news outlet Radio Times, Smith confirms that he will be doing the 8th season of the show next year.
Thank God. And, as the second half of the 7th season of Doctor Who kicks off, there is a lot of speculation about new companion Clara Oswin Oswald. The good news is that the mystery won't get dragged out indefinitely, as actress Jenna-Louise Coleman confirmed in an interview that there will be a payoff for her character's arc by the end of the season.
Thank God. Lastly, for Doctor Who news, the BBC announced that former stars David Tennant and Billie Piper, aka the 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler, will be appearing in the 50th anniversary special alongside Smith and Coleman. Joining them will be acting legend John Hurt, though they have not announced what part he will be playing. The special will be shot in 3D, a first for the show, and will have limited worldwide theatrical release.
Bruce Timm, who has more or less been in charge of DC animation since Batman the Animated Series, is stepping down as supervising producer to work on more personal projects. James Tucker, who has worked on shows like Batman Beyond, Justice League, Static Shock, and Batman Brave and the Bold, will be taking over Tim's position. Tucker has stated that he'd love to use more of a variety of characters in his projects, but that he didn't have control over this. He has also stated that he is not really interested in replicating, image by image, something that was already in a comic book. FX, perpetual silver medalist in the Best TV Channel Olympics, is set to create a second channel to help host its prodigious amount of comedy shows, but always focused on the ever-necessary 18 to 34 demographic. The new channel, FXX, will be anchored by It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and The League, as well as reruns of Arrested Development and Sports Night. At the same time, FX announced that it is picking up the Fargo miniseries by the Coen brothers and renewing Justified for its 5th season.
No news on when FX is really going to go after the 18 to 34 demo hardcore with FXXX.
This week in Nerd Video Game News.
Bad news for Wii U owners hoping the system's extra horsepower will make it easier to port third-party games. EA and Epic Games have both announced that their next-generation gaming engines, Frostbite 3 and Unreal Engine 4 respectively, will not support the Wii U. That's okay, since Frostbite 3 is only being used for a couple of small titles like the next Battlefield, Dragon Age, and Mass Effect games, and the Unreal Engine is only used for almost everything else.
Rumors abound that the next game in the mega-popular Batman Arkham Insert Noun series will be announced at this year's E3 in June. Supposedly, the title is going to be Batman Arkham Origins, a prequel to the first 2 Arkham games set in the 1950s and 60s, and will be about Batman's first encounter with the Joker. This all jives with a report from last year, which talked about similar details, and the name Arkham Origins was among a series of domain names that Warner Bros. Registered in January. Either way, Warner Bros. Has promised the 3rd Arkham game for this year, so something will have to be shown at E3.
SimCity, that perpetual disaster of a PC game released by EA last month, is finally getting its first free DLC this week. And what is it? Why, it's a Nissan Leaf branded Leaf electric car charging station. Of course! That's really what players are going to want in this buggy, nonsensical, poorly implemented, bad AI, always online DRM riddled bastardization of a classic franchise. DLC that's nothing more than glorified product placement. Since acquiring Lucasfilms, Disney's excitement over the Star Wars movie franchise has been tempered by their lack of interest in the gaming branch of the Lucas Empire. This week, Disney has closed the door on that division, LucasArts, and laid off the staff, as well as canceling all current projects, including Star Wars 1313, aka Uncharted in Space, possibly starring Boba Fett, and Star Wars First Assault. They will still use the LucasArts brand, but only as a licensing front to third-party developers for future Star Wars-themed video games. It's unclear what, if anything, will be done with many of the other classic licenses in the LucasArts catalog. Now we here at This Week in Nerd News, we're not going to comment on the latest round of rumors regarding the next Xbox and a possible always-online connection, because until we get a statement from somebody at Microsoft, this isn't really news. The thing is, we did get a statement from somebody at Microsoft. Microsoft Studios creative director Adam Orth took to Twitter to voice his personal opinion on these rumors. It is important to note that both Mr. Orth and Microsoft have made it clear these opinions do not represent the opinions of Microsoft as a whole. However, given his position in the company and Microsoft's lack of a denial about the always online features, Mr. Orth's opinions are interesting.
Sorry, I don't get the drama around having an always-on console. Every device now is always on. That's the world we live in. Hashtag deal with it.
Did you learn nothing from Diablo or SimCity? You know some people's internet goes out, right? Deal with it is a shitty reason.
Sometimes the electricity goes out. I will not purchase a vacuum cleaner. The mobile reception in the area I live in is spotty and unreliable. I will not buy a mobile phone.
You've lived in LA, SF, Seattle, very connected places. Try living in Gainesville, Wyoming, or Blacksburg, Virginia.
Those people should definitely get with the times and get the internet. It's awesome. Finally, this week in memoriam, legendary film critic Roger Ebert has died at the age of 70, just 2 days after announcing he was suffering another bout of cancer that was discovered after a hip fracture in December.
In his last blog post, Ebert promised he was leaving a presence on his blog, planning to relaunch his website, launch a Kickstarter campaign to restart At the Movies, and continue writing and possibly releasing another The Great Movies collection book.
Mr. Ebert leaves behind a fantastic body of work, and his last line from his final blog post probably sums it up best. So on this day of reflection, I say again, thank you for going on this journey with me. I'll see you at the movies.
That's all for this week.
Make sure to hit subscribe to get all of the latest episodes.
You can check out all of our shows, including our weekly podcast at jasonsquared.com.
You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/JasonSquaredShow.
You can follow me on Twitter at Jason A. Guerra.
You can follow my individual Twitter at JasonH2.
And you can follow both of us at Jason2Show, also on Twitter.
And if you insist on using crappy old email, you can reach us at jasonsquaredshow@gmail.com.